Good afternoon. My name is Rashil Patel, and we are Insight. Currently, the largest three problems that plague the healthcare industry are the lack of satisfaction, the lack of knowledge, and the lack of engagement regarding the patient population. As Insight, we plan to bridge this gap by educating patients on their health, thereby empowering them to make informed decisions about their own care. We plan to do this by implementing an artificial intelligence interface, which will actively engage the patient and have a conversation with them to assess their healthcare competence. Once assessing this competence, Insight will direct the patient to appropriate resources to teach them. Now, unlike many of the text-based resources available online on sources such as WebMD, we'll make use of simplistic animations and video tutorials to educate the patient. After a general knowledge has been acquired, patients can then participate in downstream services, such as clinical trial recruitment or crowdfunding research. But hey, don't take my word for it. Let's ask Insight himself.
Help you.
Hi, I have a health problem.
What is the problem?
The doctor told me something is growing inside my body.
So in the background, Insight is analyzing the patient's speech.
Is it cancer?
Yes, it's ovarian cancer.
And once it makes an assessment, it'll direct the
Would
patient
you like more information?
to the appropriate resource.
So at this point, we've basically stratified patients into 3 different levels of healthcare knowledge. And using this, we can direct them to appropriate videos and animations to direct their learning. And this learning occurs in 3 steps. The first is to help them understand their disease and how it's affecting their body. The next is to look at current treatments. How does it affect the disease? How is it treating their body? And its implications on the symptoms they may feel. This is very crucial in helping them understand and diminish the anxiety and fear they're facing in long-term cancer care. The third step is connecting patients to current research. This is really important to give patients hope and empowerment that the scientific community is looking for solutions to the problems they are facing. And with this connection, it provides avenues for these patients to fund labs that they believe in, and they can make this decision because of the background information we have given them already. Alongside this, it's a consolidated source of clinical trials they can look at, and very well may be participants for. Overall, this is going to be a value-based healthcare improvement, and it's a platform where hospitals can improve their patient satisfaction rates. Our main goal here is to help patients, though, and help them be more comfortable with their care. We're going to do this by empowering them with knowledge, and all the tools that we discussed are an aid to reaching that ideology. We believe that this platform can redefine the phrase bench to bedside. We are Insight. Thank you for your questions and answers, whatever.
So there's a huge gap between the identification of a symptom that someone represents or a person says, I have something wrong with me. What's the technology that will bridge that gap? Is it IBM Watson? What's the AI technology?
Yeah, so the purpose of this app is not diagnostics. I think that's an important clarification. Once they have been diagnosed, whatever basic knowledge they have, Watson will use the vocabulary they're using, use previous knowledge that is accumulated to detect their literacy level. That's the main goal of Watson at this point.
Okay.
And based off of that literacy level, it can direct them to the appropriate education tools.
So you are using Watson as the,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Treatment options are oftentimes centered around the age of the patient, their performance status. So when you actually have Watson deciding what treatments are available to you, a lot depends on your own personal situation and comorbidities that might exist. How do you think you can wind that into something that's pretty easy to access? What my optimum treatment is likely to be?
Are you referring to like the clinical trials or the current treatment options? Both. Yeah, so I mean, ideally, like we just showed like a small clip of a conversation that a patient will have with the program. But this will be over a long time where it's accumulating that data, and it will have more information about the patient, like the diagnosis that it got. Maybe even the patient will know like the name of the treatment they're getting, and that will provide for what it's. And basically, the treatment that's happening is not just the treatment they're getting, but other available treatments on the market. And then once they have that, they can understand which one is why the doctor maybe chose that treatment for them, and also connect them to clinical trials that are similar to their specific case. It's all building on top over a long period of time. Does that answer your question, or is there?
Just, I know you mentioned downstream services, but how do you intend to generate revenue from this?
Right. So one of the large problems that hospitals and research labs have is the recruitment of clinical trials. Right? And so by creating this interface, we're connecting patients to labs directly. And instead of them throwing out a flyer on a local hospital or going out into town markets to advertise for their trial, we're directly connecting patients that are sick with the trials that they require. Does that answer your question?